Warning: the following program contains music, attempts at humor, and the willful mispronunciation of brands, places, and things, and therefore may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Quality is never an accident. It's always the result of intelligent effort. John Ruskin. What if I told you that there was a legendary handgun out there that you probably didn't know about, that it was both affordable and incredibly reliable, and that now there was an updated version that just hit the market? That'd be quite the what if, and conveniently, I may have such a tale to spin for you. If you watched our Delta Gen 2 video, you'll know that Arex has no problem with quality. So when they announced that there was a huge update coming to their bomb-proof Zero model, I got more than just a little excited. I might have crapped my pants a little. Where is that son of a bitch? The sponsor of today's video is XTAR USA, makers of the EP9 pistol. They're a great company, family-owned, they're masters of their craft, very passionate about what they do, and they're just very enjoyable people to talk and work with. If you haven't seen a review yet on the EP9, please click on the banner above. It's a great video, it's a phenomenal gun, probably the best gun as far as a value standpoint that we've shot to date. So thank you to them, and they have some pretty cool stuff coming down the pipes. They just released their second generation of the XTAR EP9, and I'm not sure if I can talk about it, but they do have some value standpoint as the EP9. Our ammo sponsor is Global Ordnance. Thank you so much to them for fueling our dreams. They make great ammo and they're pretty awesome as far as... He's back? Let's finish this. Damn coyotes, gosh. Global Ordnance for sponsoring the ammo on this video. They're a great company out of Sarasota, Florida. If you need ammo, make sure to check them out, fuel up. They make some great things, like their 9mm is very high quality, same as their 7.62x39 steel and brass. That's what we've shot so far, but we've been very impressed with the quality. Also, thank you to companies like our affiliate links, like Axle Hearing Protection with the GS Extremes 2, which in my opinion are the best ear pros that I've used so far. They're incredibly comfortable, they have a great seal, and they're very well made, long battery life. Blackout Coffee, and a few others if you check out our affiliate links below. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the video. Where'd he go? Also thanks to our friends over at On Target in Middle Tennessee, the nicest gun shop that we've had the pleasure of doing business with. If you're looking for helpful people who are willing to answer questions, that's where we go. Okay, so hammer-fired, semi-automatic, magazine-fed metal frame handguns are nothing new. In fact, they're quite old, predating polymer handguns by nearly 70 years. The Salvatore Dormus was first introduced in 1892, just 7 years after the world's first automobiles hit the road. Polymer guns emerged in the 1960s with the TKB-23 in 1963, followed by the first production examples, the VP-70 by HK in 1970. Now, trends often cause most new products to conform to a small subset of categories. This is not a unique case, just look at the cell phone or the car industry. Despite the variety of manufacturers from different niches, price points, or country of origin, they largely produce the same products. Whether it's a 6-inch screen smartphone with an array of cameras on the back, or an SUV with progressively smaller turbo engines and increasing hybrid or electric platforms on the way. Case in point, Polymer guns are typically lighter and cheaper to produce, and gun manufacturers seem largely focused on lightweight, large capacity, striker-fired handguns, especially in the compact or subcompact category. And that's not to say that these are bad developments, quite the contrary. These innovations make guns more affordable and more comfortable to carry, while providing 2A practitioners more ammo capacity per ounce. Striker guns are also more closed off, with less likelihood that debris can hinder or block the firing mechanism. If you can defeat the contact between the hammer and the firing pin, you defeat the gun's ability to fire, in most cases. So why would anyone come out with a new metal-framed hammer-fired gun today? Well, first, let's take a trip back to nostalgia land and think of some of the most legendary products ever. The cast iron skillet, the Nokia 3310 cell phone, the unkillable Toyota Helix or Hilux, with a special shout out to all our technicals out there. All of these were tried and true, they were battle hardened, and hearts and loyalties were won. Guns are not exempt from these heralded halls. This would be a pretty lame video otherwise, and I personally love classic durable handguns, from the USP-45 to the Manurin MR73, the trusty 1911, the CZ75, or the SIG-226. I'm sure I missed some in there, so tell me below, what's your dream combo unkillable vehicle handgun pairing? Go. I'm sure we'll get some interesting responses in there. I'd be personally inclined to say the stealthy, Swedish, breadloafish Volvo 850 wagon. Well, I thought you made fun of Glocks for being breadloafs, bruh. Yeah. Yes, I did. But cars are different, somehow. Handgun-wise, I would definitely consider one of these, the Arex Zero 1 Tactical. And this is where I'm being willfully ignorant because I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Arex. But I grew up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, so it's Arex from Slovenia. I think I got a buddy, Peter Weszelinskowski, from there from a Schwabenon. Do they have walleye there? No. This aluminum-framed, hammer-fired service-style Butte was the first pistol to be entirely produced in Slovenia. And what a first. Nothing feels cheap, the construction is solid as a rock, it's tight, and the machining is impeccable. And it shoots great. The barrels are rated at 30,000 rounds, which even at 30 cents a round is still 9 grand of ammo. Hard to kill? That too. I'm gonna link a video from Military Arms channel where the Zero went toe-to-toe with the Sig Sauer 226, a trusted service pistol by dozens of police forces, militaries, and even US Navy SEALs at one point, and bests it in a torture test. This is very impressive and sealed the deal for me as a gun I would trust. Not bad, Slovenia. Not bad at all. The real kicker was the value, with a street price regularly half that of the 226. So you could get two there, one for the boat and one for the truck. So can the Zero 2 improve on the magic of its predecessor? And is it worthy of your attention in this populated market? Let's find out. The Standard or S model features a 4.25-inch cold hammer forged steel barrel, which should hold up to Arex's standard of 30,000 rounds, like the Delta, Alpha, and Zero before it. Barrel lockup is tighter and the trigger feel is cleaner over the Zero 1, which should improve accuracy through less barrel movement and a smoother, more predictable trigger pull. It's very smooth and very crisp. Everything you'd want out of single action. The reset is pretty short and the double action is hefty but smooth. Up top we have a nitro carburized steel slide with iron sights, but optic ready is also an option. My Delta has the same finish and is held up well during use and a little abuse. Speaking of the Delta Gen 2, it has some of the best sights out of the box I've used. They're snag resistant, very easy to see and acquire, and they've been carried over to the Zero 2. This dovetail footprint is compatible with the SIG P320, FN509, and most Springfield XD sights, giving users a huge pool of options to choose from. Slide cuts are more pronounced, especially in the front, making press checks and racking easier. The frame is an anodized aluminum with steel locking block inserts. The grip portion is where the biggest changes over the Zero 1 were implemented. It's slimmer where it counts, allowing for more comfort, better control, a broader user base, and easier concealment. The grip texture is massively improved with a distinct scale pattern and aggressive polymer stippling that wraps around the back of the grip, something absent in most metal frame guns. Likewise, the checkered texture in the metal below the trigger guard is a nice improvement, as is the undercut, which makes a bigger difference in comfort than you'd think. This makes it not just a leap over the Zero 1, but a serious contender for one of the most comfortable and confident grips on any handgun I've held to date. The takedown lever serves as a nice resting point with a notch on the other side of the gun as a guide, almost like bumps on the F and J keys on a keyboard. Now, most metal frame guns do not use a backstrap system, the Zero 2 being no exception, so you'll have to change out the entire grip panel to change the feel. Still, one of the biggest complaints I've seen on the Zero One was the width of the grip. So if you have smaller hands, the new one is a much more viable option. One of our buddies at On Target held this when it was first delivered and noted that the Zero One was always too cumbersome to grip, but that he really liked the Zero Two. High praise from someone who handles firearms all day. Controls are largely carried over from the Zero One. The safety is ambidextrous and easy to reach, though stiff, and pivots the way that's unnatural to my thumb. It sits flush enough with the grip panel that I find it a little difficult to grip onto. The innovative slide release doubles as a decocker and is implemented well, giving maximum control over the gun without littering the frame with a bunch of controls. So if the slide is back, you can drop it with the lever, or if the slide is in battery and the hammer is back, it decocks. This is, however, an area I would have liked improvement on, as the lever is not in the most natural place, at least not to my hands, and the swell on the grip here prevents easy access to both it and the safety. The mag release is ambidextrous and easy to manipulate out of the box without break-in, and I haven't struggled with it even once. The Zero 2S comes with two 18-round mags and are the same design as the Gen 1 and are very high quality, being produced by Metgar. Inserting said mags is a breeze thanks to a generously flared magwell and makes the updated frame that much more impressive. Mags are compatible between the two, so if you have these +2 factory mags like the ones included with the Zero 1 Tactical, you can carry them over. The original Zero seems to borrow some lines from the SIG 226 we mentioned earlier and the Zatseva CZ99. I'm not complaining because these are both good-looking handguns. Now between the Zero One and the Zero Two, Arex released the Alpha I mentioned earlier, which is a competition version of the Zero One with several improvements we now find on the Zero Two, including the slide serrations and all the improved grip elements, but with a different texture. But don't think the Alpha is just that. No, there are tons of racy improvements like a steel frame, lightning cuts on the top of the slide, modified controls and sights for competition, and a longer barrel. Worth noting, due to the lack of a decocker on the Alpha, grip panels are not compatible between it and the Zero Two. So basically they improved and tricked out the Zero, and then carried most of those changes into an Alpha Zero. I guess that would make it a new Zero? Zero new, like NU? If you didn't have a Greek alphabet memorized or on display in front of you, that joke probably wasn't funny. But if you did, well, it still probably wasn't funny. Now, out of the box, Arex guns are known for being a little stiff. These are made to very tight tolerances and are not broken in from the factory, so you may need to give them an Italian tune-up before they run tip-top. The first handful of rounds out of the Delta II were a little wonky, and likewise the Zero Two wouldn't cycle out of the box because the recoil spring was so stiff. So we locked back the slide and let it compress for about 40 minutes, and voila, it's run with perfect reliability ever since. The safety was the same way, very stiff at first, pretty much impossible to manipulate with just your shooting hand thumb. So between dry firing, I switched the safety on and off repeatedly, and it's gotten better, but not perfect. I think it's worth noting that if you are a newer shooter or have primarily stuck with popular striker-fired polymer guns like the Glock 19X with the lovely and criticism-free O-Light, you may not know the feel of or be familiar with hammer-fired guns. Let's face it, most new gun owners in the last 2 years aren't buying a lot of 1911s. Most. And I'm not saying they shouldn't. In fact, there are some very tangible benefits that a hammer-fired gun, especially a double-action single-action like the Zero, as opposed to the single-action 1911, has over a striker-fired gun. And that main benefit is choice. Whether you carry or train with your gun in Condition 1, Condition 2, Condition 3, Mint Condition, Terms and Conditions, a gun like the Zero Two provides more freedom and control than a standard striker-fired gun like a Glock. Want to err on the side of caution? Hammer decocked, safety on, no round chambered, this is Condition 3. Chamber around, decocked, now you're at Condition 2. Cock the hammer, and that's altogether Condition 1. I guess that would also make the hammer conditioner. A Glock can really only be Condition 1 or 3 because it has no manual safety, and you cannot have a chambered round without the gun also being cocked or charged. Condition 4 is an unloaded or empty mag, but from a carry perspective, the only condition that leaves you in is critical condition. Then you have double action, which is another layer of safety and choice that makes the first pull heavy and deliberate, whereas the Glock is single action only. The Arex safety completely disengages the trigger, meaning there's no likelihood of accidental fire, even if the trigger snags. Even with the trigger safety, the only way to get a dead trigger in a Glock is to unload it. So that answers the question of why you'd still want a DA/SA gun today, but it doesn't answer the question of whether or not the Zero 2 is a worthy choice. So let's move on to shooting impressions. The Zero 2 rips. The new grip really lends to a better shooting experience, and I felt I had more control over the Zero 1, and the improved texture and higher grip ergonomics made it more comfortable for longer repeat drills. The sights are very clear and very easy to acquire quickly, and solidify my preference over 3-dot setups. Despite the compatible sight options, I'd honestly prefer these, except for maybe a fiber optic front sight. The all-metal frame lends itself in many ways. Much like a rigid sports car platform, the aluminum frame boosts confidence and feel as the gun translates everything going on to the user. That's not to say that it's harsh, quite the contrary. The grip texture extension into the thenar and hypothenar contact points of your hand is softer and grippier than the exposed aluminum, and should also help with sweaty hands on hot days. From a more subjective side, the gun just feels rock solid and on point with no discernible flex. The extra weight coming in at 32 ounces absorbs more recoil and instills more confidence over most polymer guns I've shot. Now, the control difficulties I mentioned earlier, toggling the safety on and using the slide drop and decocker, created some challenges during shooting, especially with gloves. The safety sits flush enough with the grip, very similar to the Zero 1, that I found myself pushing more down on the lever into the frame than up on it to engage. And it doesn't feel like it wants to move with that kind of pressure, even after my efforts to break it in. Now, I think this comes from a combination of the spacing of the controls and the extremely grippy texture on the improved grip. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You have to rotate your hand around to properly manipulate both the decocker or the slide release and the safety, but this wonderful new grip fights you along the way, especially with gloves. And if you're like me and your hands get very sweaty, especially on warm days, that could be a little bit of an issue. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it's there. Reliability-wise, after the initial 40-minute lock back and then 20 minutes of just Italian tune-up, the Zero 2 has run with perfect reliability, which is awesome. After about 700 rounds, it's just been a sweet shooter, incredibly flat, very smooth. We just keep wanting to put rounds for this, and we'll continue to shoot this long after this review. It just delivers. Now, also carrying the Zero 2 in an appendix holster was more comfortable than I expected, especially for a heavier and longer gun than I usually pack. I felt supremely confident carrying it, like driving a truck versus a minivan. Personally though, I would opt for the compact version for carry. Holster compatibility is even more aligned with the SIG 226 than the Zero 1, thanks to its slimmer build. Because of these differences though, Zero 1 parts are not compatible with the Zero 2 in most cases. Okay, so price. You've waited this long. The MSRP on this particular setup, the Zero 2 as standard, no optic mount, is $850. The SIG 226 is about $1,200, and good luck finding one. If $850 is too rich, I see Arex models fall well below their MSRP over time. I mean, the Delta Gen 2 can be had on multiple sites as of this video for $350 compared to its, I think, $450 MSRP. And this gun shot way better than we expected and honestly shamed a lot of other more expensive options that we fired next to it. If there is a gun company that is underrated and underappreciated right now, it's Arex. I mean, just look at this thing. It's cool. In conclusion, if you're in the market for a premium pistol, this is worth your attention. It's a real sweetheart. It shoots great, it's made incredibly well, the grip is fantastic, it's super reliable, and it's a great value for a gun this nice. The controls aren't my favorite after 700 rounds, but that could change after 1,000 rounds, and we like the gun enough that we intend to keep shooting it long after this review. As far as the break-in period, this is just part of what owning an Arex is like, and it's probably one of the reasons that they can undercut competitors on price. Everyone should be adequately running in their new guns anyway, both from a reliability and familiarity standpoint. Unfortunately, I've talked with several first-time gun buyers in the last 2 years that haven't put a single round through them, let alone dry firing at home. And this is Tennessee, yeehaw! The Second Amendment is a wonderful thing, and it's here for everyone to utilize. Just make sure you're utilizing it responsibly through training, maintaining, and building an overall familiarity and respect for the tools for your safety and the safety of those around you. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. If you want to support us, check us out on Subscribestar or Patreon. Check out our Instagram account. And thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.